Jess, I want to thank you for being here with us today. This is awesome. How you doing?
Good, man. No, thanks for having me here, Belden.
Excellent. So let's dive right in, and I want to kind of give some background for people listening. What was the difference for you between before you started Nutri-90 and today, now that you've been through the Nutri-90 program?
Um, well, I think the most obvious is 10 kilos. I think that's the most visible difference is, yeah, before I started the program, I was 10 kilos or roughly around 20 pounds overweight. And, going through the program, learning all this stuff about nutrition and nutritional fitness, all these different types of things are really just learning about food in general again, really gave me the power to one, lose that weight, but then, find clarity around food, which if I think about it, I haven't had clarity for pretty much my whole life, which sounds crazy, right? But, I believed the wrong things or thought I knew the right stuff, but actually I really didn't know about food and how the body works with food. So, really in the program now, I have that clarity, whereas in the past I didn't.
That's excellent. What has been your transformation? What's the real difference in your life now compared to prior?
I think, it always kind of starts out with weight. It's like, great, I want to lose some pounds, I want to get healthier. But, weight now is kind of a secondary bonus for me, maybe even like a third bonus for me if I think about it. Because, I have two kids now, I have a wife, I've authored a book, I've entrepreneur, all these different types of things that require, time and energy on my part. Where, before Nutri-90, I was still driven, I still found a way, but I was just exhausted trying to do all these things. Where now that I am now in control of my weight, and know what foods to nourish my body, I have my energies through the roof, essentially. Like I didn't know I could have that much energy, right? So I
Hmm.
can work, do full days at my business, other things, and then come home and play with my kids and not feel tired, right? Where in the past, that was just kind of like normal, right? And
Hmm.
then also better sleep at night. And the funny thing is, like, we always think like you need more sleep at night, you'll feel more refreshed, when actually I sleep less now, but I sleep deeper and then I wake up refreshed. So, I mean, it's just crazy things like this, like energy, better sleep, vitality, like all these things that I didn't know were like directly related to, nourishing your body. I thought there would be some correlation, but I mean, they're just such a direct connection. And once one of those dominoes falls, like all these other elements fall into place. So
So Nutri-90
I
then
would
is
say,
Nutri-90 has given you not only energy, but it's given you time.
oh yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
Uh, yeah, it's really, given me more time to devote, of course, to my kids, my wife, of course, my businesses, my other interests that I'm working with. And, I honestly thought that I was driven and I put in a lot of time, but now I look at it and I'm able to put in more time and I feel better doing it, because in the past, like I would put in those extra hours, but knowing the fact that I would pay later somehow. If I had to stay up late working on a project or something like that, the next morning I know it'd be like, oh, I'm going to get less sleep and I'm going to feel bad the next day. Whereas now it's like, you know what, I could put in this extra time and then the next day get up with a little less sleep, still feel good because my body is nourished, right? And it's working on all cylinders, essentially.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing it. I have
Yeah.
a I have a before and after photo. Before I bring that up, can I get just a couple of comments about what the process was like? What was it like working with Nutri-90 day by day?
Yeah. I think working with Nutri-90, it was amazing because it wasn't like a one size fits all program, and I've tried them in the past and it's really doesn't matter if you're male, female, whatever, because I've tried them with my wife. We were given the same thing. And, my wife is, 6'1" and I am like 5'6". And were so different, but the program just said, hey, just do this and then keep following this. And whereas with Nutri-90, it's really, you really get to know, who we are as people, where we're at in our journey. And then you give us the information in a manner that is perfect, because whenever we need that information, you provide it, or the program provides it, so that, it's meaningful. Whereas some programs, you get all the information and you're kind of overwhelmed. Whereas this, you get it in the timing that you need it, essentially. So then it's like, wow, yeah, that's exactly what I needed to know. So then I can take my next steps forward, essentially.
Excellent. I'm going to, with your permission, can I bring up your before and after picture?
Of course.
Excellent. Give me just a moment to share my screen here. Okay, here we go. So I remember talking to you before you came into this program. You really came in solidarity with your wife, really, and you didn't think you had much of a change that you needed to make. So my question here is, when you look at this picture before and after, what's running through your mind now? What are you really thinking?
It was so crazy, because the crazy thing was, I thought I was a healthy individual before I started, and I didn't have that much weight to lose, essentially, because I'd been an athlete pretty much all my life. I had worked out. I thought I was eating healthy, like low carbs, high vegetables, proteins, these different types of things. But it goes back to the idea that I didn't really have any clue around nutritional fitness, or really giving my body the nutrients it needs to thrive. And, when she started the program, and I just kind of looked over her shoulder, and, I just did it with her, just like to support her. Like, I remember in the first 2 days, I dropped like 4 pounds, and I was like, that's crazy. That's crazy. And it wasn't like I was exercising more. Like, I was actually exercising less, but I'm just eating the proper food that your body needs, and the body was doing what it's supposed to do naturally. So it's so crazy now that I look at this picture, because I had this belief, this mindset, like, hey, I'm just older, that's what happens, like, but I'm still fit, I'm not super overweight. But then now I look at this picture and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I had actually a lot to lose and so much to gain. And I look at myself now and how I feel, it's night and day.
Yeah, you look great. You look great. Thank you for those comments. Just one thing I want to ask additionally, in just 1 or 2 sentences, is there anything that you would like to add?
Oh, man. Lots to add, but I think the biggest thing, and I think I mentioned it already, is that I thought I knew, right? I had this belief that I was already healthy. Like, I knew what I was doing in terms of exercising and eating, but it goes back to the idea that I really didn't know. And until I joined the program and I found that clarity, I was really self-sabotaging myself because of that belief. And I mean, I could just look at food choices that I was making in the past that literally I thought were healthy, but were actually like putting extra pounds on me without me even knowing it. Right. So it's really that idea that, being open-minded and learning has opened the gates for me to this higher version of myself. Right. And that has been so powerful for me. And, just doing all the things I'm doing now, requires me to really look for those 20% activities that give me 80% results. And Nutri-90 has really given that to me. It's really taught me what levers, to pull, and what buttons I don't have to worry about, right? Past that, I really didn't have a clue. Like, I was standing in front of a big machine, like trying to figure out my weight, and I was like pressing things, and some things worked and some things didn't, but there was like no rhyme or reason behind it. Whereas now I know exactly, I can look at this big machine and I could be like, oh great, I know what that does, I know what that does, and if I pull this or press this button, and you know what, whether if I need to lose a little weight or if I'm maintaining my weight, I know exactly what to do. And I think that's just so powerful now to have that for the rest of my life.
That's awesome, Jess. Thanks a
Yeah,
lot for doing this interview with us. I really, really appreciate it.
no, of course.
Fantastic.